I didn't know I had to do my hair for this.
Yeah, you got to do your hair, man. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean,
You gotta be Mr. Adrian.
yeah, you got to be Mr. Agent, right? So good morning, everybody, or good evening, whenever you're watching this. I am right here with Mr. Rob Brosen. He's one of the parents at Sovereign, and very involved parent. In fact, he's a lifetime member, and so excited to have him here. And just
Hello.
gonna have him share who he is and all of that. But before, and actually, uh, how long he's been in Sovereign and what the benefits have been and all that good stuff. So before we get to all of that, please do share who you are and how you found us and all of that. So good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I'm Rob Brosen. So, I guess we must have started 9 years ago at this
Ah,
point, roundabout. And it's actually funny. It was so when Liam was in daycare, he was in a Goddard, and they at one point offered up, I guess they had a karate school say that, we want to come in and teach a class in the Goddard, and if you want to get kids to sign up. So we signed them up for that. And it didn't take, he wasn't into it, didn't want to go. But then they would contact us and say, well, you got to pay for his next belt. And I'm like, well, he doesn't go. He doesn't want to
wow.
go. He
Yeah.
doesn't want to go. So, well, yeah, but he's due for a belt anyway. Well, he didn't earn it.
Wow.
Oh, it doesn't matter. We work on a schedule, and like he's only attended like three. Like it was just this weird. I'm like, but he didn't earn. Like it was just like he didn't earn it. He didn't go. He didn't. He skipped out a lot. His teacher wouldn't force him to go. So if he would say no, I'm not going to go. It's just okay. Um, so anyway, I think he moved up through like three belts and attended maybe 4 or 5 classes. It was just stupid.
Wow. That's
So it was
amazing.
like, yeah, it was like, this is not right. So I guess Dalila started looking around to see what, because we just didn't agree with that school. We're just like, this is
Yeah.
silly to just give away belts, on a time schedule. Like we already
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
that just doesn't make sense. So I guess we started looking around. I'm not actually sure how she found Sovereign, if it was through word of mouth. I don't know. But, I guess I know she started going around looking at schools, and so I do know that she told, when she went into Sovereign and saw you, Shihan, were teaching at the time there, and how, strict you were and how formal and how, it was like just, she just knew. She was like, yeah, oh, she came back. She's like, man, they show discipline, and they really enforce that, and they really, you got to earn your belt. You got to do, certain thing. We're like, okay, that's the place. And
Wow.
so that's what happened. And then she, started doing kickboxing, right? So she started doing kickboxing. Liam was doing karate. Um, and of course, I'd have to take him once in a while. And, I guess at some point, um, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think she got up through, I want to say she got like to maybe blue belt in kickboxing.
I believe
Or,
so. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was blue. Yes.
yeah. And I guess that's when I started, and she started doing karate. So she was doing karate and kickboxing. I was doing kickboxing. And then we were trying to shift it was like, well, we got the kids and we had this. And so it was like, so I think it became, she gave up kickboxing so that I could do that while she took care of the kids. And then she would do karate while I took care of the kids. And, so
Wow.
that's where that, and then, I guess Ricky, so it was like, okay, now, we had Ricky, the little one. So he was born, he would have been about 1 when Liam started karate.
Yeah.
So we knew that, we were going to get him started like as soon as possible. So I think we tried him at 3, and
I believe so. He was not
he
ready.
was
I
too
remember.
crazy. He
Yeah.
was not ready. So we're like, okay, we got to. So we pulled him back out, and I think he might have started to get. I don't know if we made it till he was 5 or 4. I don't know. It wasn't a whole lot of time, but I know he kept watching his brother, and he wanted to do stuff, and was like, all right, well, you got to behave, you got to focus. You can't. He's crazy. So, um, so that he got started, and it was just, it was a good. I mean, it was really great for Liam. Obviously, he's a on the spectrum, and so he's always been very difficult, very overly sensitive, um, and gets upset and frustrated, and there's just too much going on, and so I think it's really even though times were difficult, obviously with him in class. I mean, you had difficulty with him in class. There was time, we had a hard time getting him to go, and
Right, right.
but but he, I mean, he connected with you, Shihan, obviously, so to the point where that was his goal became pleasing you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was his driving force, and if he ever wanted to not go, it was like, Shihan's gonna be, he's not gonna be happy that you're not there. He's gonna be, oh, okay, all right, I gotta go, and so that was his, that was, we used you to to force him to go.
Well, good
And
thing, which is great,
yeah,
because it builds that commitment level for them. It helps them to stay committed.
right, yeah, anything that get right. I mean, he knows that, like, he felt committed to you. Like, okay, I'm gonna, he could get away with us. Like, he could complain and whine and complain to us, but he knew, like, we tell him, we gave him that responsibility. We've talked about this before. We gave him that. If he ever said I wanted to quit, it was like, okay, you can quit, but you need to do it. I'm not calling him. I'm not talking. You need to go in and you need to tell Shihan face to face
That is
that
so
you're.
powerful. Yeah,
And he's like, no, no, all right, no, no, okay, forget it. I won't quit.
yeah. That is so powerful because, like, a lot of parents, bail their kids out. You know,
Right.
And here you are saying, look, man, that's what you want. You got to do it. You're
Yeah.
equipping them to face up, you know, very powerful. Wow.
Yeah.
In the
So
life, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
no, it's just it's been great. It's been good for him. He's definitely learned a lot of responsibility, and he uh, knows that now, as far along as he is, that he needs to be a role model. He needs to
Yes,
demonstrate, for the younger belts and whatnot, and be a driving force for everybody else. And it's helped him tremendously with his self confidence and his control, and knowing that, okay, I have to be disciplined here in class, and he's brought that over to other places, into school and whatnot. And
powerful. Wow. Yeah, very powerful. So, hearing your story and the challenges and all of these things, I been doing this for like 25 years plus now. um, you know, the common denominator is parents just giving up. It's too much. It's too hard. But then there's those parents like yourself that, you know, they kind of like think different, you know. They kind of like have a different uh thinking that goes on with where I'm taking my family, which is amazing in leadership. So for you, what is that you say between you and your wife that say, first, I see that you're in agreement, which is powerful, right? A lot of marriages um, are not in agreement. One wants him to do it, the other one doesn't. The one wants to push him, the other one doesn't want to push, and there's a lot of conflicting attitudes, right? There's a lot of division. But with you, since the first day I met you guys, there was an agreement. There was a support, not verbal, not verbal. There was a physical, emotional, verbal, and doing active support. So why is that for you that you decided to be that way for you and your family? Why is that? Because I want other families to get a lot of takeaways from what you and your wife bring to the culture of sovereign.
so I think, what we learned um, early on, and it's funny. I bring back, this, we did the pre-Cana, right? That you do before you get married. We went they made it. It was required, right, to go to this course
Yeah,
at her parents' church before we got married, and I was shocked, but I actually learned a lot there. And
sure. This is powerful.
um, so certain that they talked about, like, certain things that don't that you don't fight about, right? And then certain things that you do. And it talked about being a partnership and being a team. And I still, all these years, 20, we've been married 20 years, and
Wow.
still remember exact
Wow.
words, from that class. So I think part of what we've always used is, rather than sort of competing with each other, or rather than fighting with each other, or rather than conflicting with each other, it's using those differences. We don't always agree,
Right.
but we use the differences to our advantage. So we divide and conquer, and we
Powerful.
know, if we're faced with a challenge, it's like, well, who's better, out of the two of us, who's better to face that challenge? Who should make that decision, or who should deal, so if, and we do it with the kids even, we
Yeah.
know if
Yeah.
Ricky's a certain way, if Liam's acting a certain way, okay, that's yours.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. Yep.
that's, this, he needs, uh, mom's nurturing right now, or he
Yeah.
needs, dad to, lay the law down right now, or vice versa, or whatever, like,
Yeah.
so we use it, we use our differences to form a team, to form one stronger influence, rather than trying to outdo each other or trying to undermine each other.
Man, that is so awesome. What about, like, and that's great. And I think a lot of marriages need to take some of that for them. Uh, what about, like, I'm thinking here, you're in agreement with all these things. You're in agreement with, here's the things that work, the activities we're gonna be doing, etc. And keeping it at sovereign here for a minute, right? Uh, in the challenging times, man, I don't want to go to karate, blah blah blah. How did you and your wife handle that? Where one didn't go, maybe he shouldn't do it, and the other one's like, no, but I think it's important. How did you handle that moment in life where it might have come up?
Well, she wins no matter what, right? So,
Okay.
but again, it comes to a tag team again. It's like, because kids will wear you down, right? I mean, that kids will just
Sure. Yeah.
wear you down. So there are times when, there's been times, right, where the kids, if they say, I don't want to go, and it's like, I'll fight with it for a little bit, and then just when I'm like, forget it, I give up, then she steps in, and
Oh,
it's like, now you
wow.
got fresh, like,
Yeah,
okay,
you get to
here's
recharge,
Tyler, here's this, and we, I couldn't even tell you. That's like kind of was a standard practice. I mean, we don't have to do that anymore, because the kids are at the point now, they're a little older, but yeah, when they're younger, it's like, but as long as you, like you said, right, is if you're on the same page, right, and you're both saying, okay, you got to go, and especially when, when you're taking it yourself, that obviously helps a lot too, because it's like, well, I'm going.
yeah,
So, and we've been through that where it's been like, okay, well, you're going to have to go sit there because I'm taking class. So you don't want to take class, whatever. You're not going to take it. You're going to come and you're going to sit there. You're not going to have a phone. You're not going to have this and that. You're going to sit there and you're going to watch.
yeah,
And usually, most times, like when we got to that point, by the time you get to the dojo, by the time you get, and they see the other kids, and it's like, okay, now I'm here. All right, I'm gonna join in. Like it's getting them there is 75% of the battle, right? So,
powerful.
and for us, it was like, well, I'm going anyway. I'm going
Yeah.
anyway, and you need to come. Obviously, you can't stay here by yourself, and you're going to go with me. And if you don't want to participate, then you're just going to sit there quietly and watch. You
Yeah, man,
know,
that is so awesome, because I remember, and then I want you to share, what was your deciding factor in you joining, right? Uh, because I remember that moment when you joined, right? And although I wasn't teaching at that location, I saw it, right? And then I would see the videos and the pictures and all that. And to me, because I love your family, right? I look, so I have a different emotional connection to that. Uh, but I want to project this where other families can benefit from, right? Um, but looking at it from a father point of view, looking at it from a husband point of view, and looking at it from a man point of view, being the leader of the house and being the head, if you will, right? Seeing you uh, make that decision and getting involved, and then seeing pictures of you and your sons and then your wife, and it just clicked in my head, uh, how powerful it really is, being a father, being a parent, because what the world is going through right now is a result of what I believe is a fatherless nation. There's a lot of issues going on because fathers are not actively involved. You know, they're like absentee fathering, and seeing you do that um, made me like love your family that much more. It was like, whoa, that was the missing link right there. That was the one thing that just made that family complete. From an outside view. You know what I mean? And I remember sharing that with my wife and saying, "Man, look how beautiful, man. Look at this video. Look at this picture. Look, what does that picture say? What does that video say about this family?" And I wish all the families can see that and get in like that, and believe that, because it also, in my view from outside, again, I wasn't teaching there, but it's just my imagination running, how powerful that was for your boys. You know that, man, I got my dad here. Like, oh man, I got my dad here. And it also brought me back when I trained with my kids and my sons, and that beautiful memories and time. So for you, what was the point for you to say, man, I'm gonna do this? And am I in congruency with what I'm saying for your family? Do you feel the same that it happened to your family?
Yeah. So I mean, I was, and again, you're talking about when I finally started karate, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
karate.
I
It
was
was like, it's like, man, look
boxing.
at me in a gi. He's wearing a
Yeah.
belt. Like, whoa! Like, I never in my wildest dream did think that you would like this. Like, never.
Well, I
I thought,
I never.
kickboxing, that's good.
Yeah.
It's a fitness thing. But karate,
Right.
man, I was like, whoa. So go
Well,
ahead.
that was always, I never, and the only reason I held back for so long because I was never a fan of the katas, right? Like that was the one that was like, oh man, it's not katas, and I don't really want to, I like doing the other stuff. But over time, what would happen is because I'd always watch, I'd always, I don't sit, I don't just drop my kids off or I don't whatever, right? I go and I watch, and I want to see how they're doing and how they're progressing. So what would happen over the years, it's like we're home and they're practicing, and I would start saying, well, wait a minute, no, that's not how you do that kata. Like, so I learned the katas just by watching, and I'd be like, oh wait, the next step is this, and I'd show them like the next step is, they're like, well, why aren't you doing class? Like this doesn't, like you know it, so why, you don't. It's like, all right, I guess that makes sense, and then it became, because yeah, we're doing it to get, and especially once you recombine the classes, right? Once the kids were, I think that's about when it happened, um, maybe a little later, but Ricky moved up to junior, right? So I had Liam and Ricky in the same class, and then DeLeo was doing the same class, and they were like, okay, well, we can all get together and do the same class. All right, that's cool, and then it became, because I was far below, like Liam, for instance, I could look at it, okay, Liam, how did, and he got a new level of investment that he's like, oh, I'm teaching my dad, I'm
Wow.
teaching my dad katas. I'm teaching my dad how to do this,
Wow.
so then, and then I could, and then we, we correct each other, we encourage each other, so, and we all, they still know, obviously,
Sure,
Liam
sure. Yeah.
knows some more katas than I do, but certain things that they look up to me for in terms of fighting and sparring and stance and things like that, and then other things I look to them like, okay, well, wait, what's the next move in this kata kind of thing. So it does become just a family exercise and a family challenge, right? So now it's like you're all facing the same challenge together,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's a lot of fun, and a lot of, it gives us that more time together, you know.
That is so awesome, man. Like that I see it vividly, and it's deeply touching. I wanna tell you that it's a deeply touching, um, for me personally, right? Because I remember Mr. Liam. I remember his tantrums. I remember the challenges. I remember seeing your wife sometimes go like that, put her head down, and I was like, I wish I could like help more. Like, what can I do? And that's when I decided I'm just gonna love this kid, man. I'm gonna love him like if he was my own. Like I'm gonna be like his advocate. I'm gonna fight through for him. And I remember telling your wife, count on me. Like I'm there. You know what I mean? Like I want you to know that I'm there for this guy. You know, and then just seeing like the completeness of family there and training. Man, I remember I was like, Jana, look at this, man. Look how powerful this is. This is what I love about this. And I want every family to be like that. I want every family to like just join in together, lock arms, and just because I think that's the solution for the world too. You know, and the more that people become aware and see families like that, is it's just another level, man. It's just powerful. So uh, yeah, deeply touching, man, deeply touching. So uh, is it in alignment for you to say that yes, that has been amazing for my family?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I still, one of my like biggest moments as a father, specifically with Liam, like I don't know if you, I'm sure you remember, but it was at your 50th birthday, right?
Yes, I
And
remember. Yes,
yeah,
of course.
Liam's like nine, I guess 9 years old at that time, and he's like grabbed the microphone, stood up in front of everybody, right, and gave a speech that was
Yeah,
like tremendous, about Shihan, and happy birthday, and I love you, you've helped me so much, and this and that,
yeah, that
just
was like
all
wow.
off the cuff, wasn't like, and it's just like, wow, I mean, that just blew us away to to see him do that, and just, and it's like, but that's the inspiration that you bring, that karate, that SMA brings, that it just inspires somebody like him to step up and push away all his fears and all of his anxiety and everything, and just be like, man, boom, here I
Wow.
am, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
wow, and
yeah.
and
I can never forget that day. That was deeply touching too. That was he was present right there and went right through it, and I was like, look at this kid grow. Like, wow.
yeah.
Even now, he's come such a long way. Powerful, very powerful. So coming to the end here of this moment, right? What would you say to the parent that's on the sideline, looking in? How we get the parents involved, parents as coaches, get on the floor, do the fitness with them, etc. Right? We took that to the next level, right? But there's a little bit more than that, right? That you're enjoying, and all the parents that are actually doing are enjoying. What would you say to the parent that's like, looking it up, that's not for me, that's for my kid? What would you say, man? Get in here, right?
So I think there's two challenges there. I know one is definitely they're looking at that saying, I think, well, there's probably a lot more than two, but one thing is, right, they're looking at their kid doing it, and maybe their kid's been doing it for a while, and I think one of the things that might be going through their mind is, do I really want to start as a white belt and my kid's a
Yeah, yeah,
purple
yeah.
belt, right? Like, don't worry about that, man. The belt's like, it's your personal achievement, right? I mean, I think I've been a black belt since day one. As far as
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
as far as my kids are concerned,
yeah.
as far as, like they said it from the get go. Like, I'm wearing a white, but they're like, dude, you're a black belt. This is, and it's like, whatever. They don't. The kids are gonna look up to you no matter what.
Right.
And uh, the other part, you might say, well, I don't have the time. It's not that much time. And you know what? If you plan and you just organize yourself, you do it. It's every day when it's time for class, it's like, man, I got all this work. You know what? Work's still going to be here 45 minutes from now, and it's not going to kill anybody that I take 45 minutes to take class and come back. You know, um, and especially now online, I don't have to drive. I don't have to, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so many other benefits from being
God,
home, right?
like it's
For
so
real.
easy. to just get, it's like I just stand up and boom, there I'm in class, uh, so there's no reason not to do it now. And like I said, time wise, you put that aside, put aside where you're going to be in relation to your kid, put aside, I mean, look at all the other adults who are doing it. Everybody's jumping in, everybody's jumping in. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's just get started. I think that's where, getting started for any task, right? Once begun, it's half done,
Yeah,
right?
true, man. That is so
Just
true.
do it.
Yeah.
Jump in. Just jump in. Even if you're not like registered yet, right? Even if you're not like, take just take a class. Just jump up, take a class, and I promise you're going to register right after.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Man, that was awesome. Mr. Rob, thank you so much for sharing. And you know, that was powerful. So there you have it, everybody. If you want to join in, just listen to what Mr. Rob said and come on in. Come on in.